little footies on. My feet getting cold. Okay, welcome everyone. I am Tot Styles, and this is day 2 of acrylic foundations. Even though the slide says day 1, we are going to be talking about nail prep and base application. Today's focus again is going to be nail prep and acrylic base. What I have done right here, we are going to be using these nails. That we're going to actually go through and mimic if you were doing a new set of acrylic nails, how you will properly prepare the nails. So the outcome of today's live is properly prep nails ready for acrylic, and we will be practicing our balls as well on the acrylic. I'm trying to get my mouse to work and it's not, because it has to go through 3 screens. There it is. Why did this one not change for you all? Hold on. It should have been. Oh, you know what? Completely my fault. Completely my fault. There we go. This is the wrong slide. I'm sorry. Welcome in, YouTube. Let me put up the correct slide. Let me remove this one. We want to bring in acrylic foundations, which should be this. So this is the wrong slide again. So let me just upload this. I apologize. Welcome in, YouTube peoples. Here, acrylic foundations. Is this it? Today's the 2nd. Oh, okay. It's this one. It will not let me open this one. Hold on. I have to shut it over here, which is showing for you guys slightly on TikTok. So I can bring it into YouTube. And then I can bring it back up for you guys over on TikTok. Hey, Bali. Hi, Danny. How are you doing? Hey, Raydan Reacts. I'm actually going to be teaching you all how to do acrylic application. So while we're waiting on this slide, these are the nails that I just kind of went ahead and put on here. So we're going to go through preparation. So here it is. Is this the right one? Okay, fine. So let me open this back up for my TikTok audience. I actually have TikTok and YouTube live at the same time right now. And I have 3 screens going. So I apologize to you all. And I'm actually working in a new set right now. And it just has been giving me problems all day. But I'm trying to get my set together. So let me open this one up. I think it's opening. Okay. So To prep the nail, you don't want to have any of this gloss that you have on the nail. So just imagine if you're doing a natural nail, you're not going to apply acrylic on a natural nail with any type of gloss on it. Okay, you're going to have to buff it out. So that's what I want to show you guys now. So let's go ahead and add this to the stage. Well, it says it's on the stage, but it's not showing. Oh, it is showing. Duh. So over on YouTube, to tell you guys a little bit about me, I am a dual state licensed cosmetologist. This class is designed for beginners, DIY learners, and working professionals looking to strengthen their or sharpen their skills. I am live every Monday. I'm lying. I'm not live on Monday. That's absolute. No, that is the truth. Every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. TikTok is recommending a 10 p.m. start time. So tonight's live started at 10 p.m. and Monday's live is supposed to start at 10 p.m. because I do feel like I'll be back from Dallas by that time frame. So tell a friend to tell a friend that this is where it will all begin. Now, I am in my 7th year of retirement. Just to give you some background, I started the nail program in high school. I'm 52 years old. I'm okay with telling you guys my age. When I graduated high school, I only needed about 20 hours to get my license. So I went to my instructor and I said, hey, how do I finish these hours so I can get my license? She said, why don't you just do the whole program? You do the whole program. You can be an esthetician. You can be a nail technician. Or if you want to go off and do hair in the cosmetology realm, then you can do that. So after I got my license, I actually did hair and nails. And certain days was only hair, certain days was only nails, some days it was both. And I went back and forth for about 2 years. And then I finally said, girl, pick a struggle, pick a team, because it was driving me crazy. Some days the nail client would have me late for the hair client, and the hair client would have me late for the nail client. And it didn't work for me. And I realized doing hair, I could work on more than one person. So eventually I gave up doing nails and just started doing hair. Because your daddy had it on the charger. Why did you take it off? Go put it back on the charger.
I didn't take it off.
You didn't? Go ask Uncle Charles to put it on the charger for you. So with that said, May is our acrylic month. In the month of April, we worked on nail art and flowers, and I completed what is the Mother's Day bouquet nails, which I will actually be wearing tomorrow to the Polo Club, and I can show you guys as I have them over here. Y'all, I'm gonna get this together. I promise y'all. Okay, here they go. So just to kind of take you through the journey of where we're at and how we got here. When I first started doing nails on live, I was bored. And I said, with all these people doing nails, I know how to do nails. Maybe let me just start doing my own nails, because I had stopped wearing nail extensions because I got tired of my nails getting jacked up. And I was like, how are all these people doing nails and they don't have a license? And then I realized that, they're doing Tipp-Ex nails and Gel-X nails. And that's where you're just taking nail tips and you're designing them and they're selling it to people. And I said, I can do that myself. So the very first set that I did, I was like, you know what? I want to kind of see, can I still do nails? Can I do nail art? Let me kind of just play around a little bit and see what I can do. So the very first set that I did when I came on here, which was in the month of March, was this right here. So this was the very first set of nails that I did, just playing around with nail art. And I was like, okay. And then I said, okay, well, let me try a little something else. And then this was the second set that I made. And on this set, the trees are drawn, the water is drawn, the birds are drawn, the clouds, the sun, all of that is drawn. Then I added some decals to it. And these are all made with gel polish. So I was like, okay, I'm doing okay. Then I said, let me try doing some money nails. Because back in the day, we used to encapsulate money inside of the acrylic. But I actually did this just using gel polish. So I was like, okay, so these are the money nails that I made. And I was like, I think I'm on to something. And then I made these nails right here, which are just rhinestones and decals. And again, this is all gel polish that I use. So this was another set that I made. And this was probably in early April. And then I was like inspired by my Evil Eye Christian Louboutin tennis shoes. And I said, you know what? I wonder if I can make some Louboutin nails. So if you look at the back of these, they're red. So that's the Louboutin, and I add a little razzle dazzle and rhinestones to this one. But on the front, you see the nail art that I did with the evil eye. So this is the evil eye set of nails that I did. And I said, okay, I think I'm on to something. So then I said, you know what? I'm just going to keep going live and teaching people nail art because I'm more comfortable going live to talk about this than trying to sell y'all some products because I use all kind of stuff and I give y'all true, honest reviews. But I don't want to be going live to do that. That just ain't me. So, I kind of keep that stuff on my page, but not necessarily in the live. So then we started doing cosmic nails. So in these nails right here, I actually infused peridot crystals in these nails. So then we did the cosmic nails. So that was all through the month of March going into early April. Then I said, you know what? I feel like I need to start doing lesson plans and themes and make it more of like a nail program to teach people nail art tutorials. And that's why it's Tot Styles Nail Art Tutorials. Over on YouTube, we're going to be updating our page so they understand that this is actually what we do. Thank you, Isabella. So last month, we practiced on flowers. We practiced doing 3D flowers. We practiced drawing flowers. We practiced doing rhinestone flowers. And the thing was Mother's Day bouquet nails. So this is the Mother's Day bouquet nails that I made. So when I go to the Polo Club tomorrow, there is there's an event. It's the Fiesta Cup, and it's sponsored by Don Julio. So these are the nails that I'm going to be wearing tomorrow. And I actually did my own manicure today at home to prep my nails for these tomorrow. And I used my Melody Susie drill, which is the same drill that we're going to be using as we learn nail art, which for you guys over on TikTok, it's available in the caption. Over on YouTube as well, I gave you all the links if you want to purchase anything that we're working with. But these are the nails that I'll be wearing tomorrow. So that brings us here to where we are practicing acrylic. So all through the month of May, it's going to be about application and structure and focusing on building. If you guys decide to come live with me on those days that I'm live, you can actually work along with me. If you want to come up on the stage, if you have questions, things like that, I'm really here to help you all. But the goal is to end up having a total of 3 sets of nails. So your first set is really just going to be acrylic, where you might extend the nail out. So for example, working on this nail, I might say, this is a little short. I want it a little bit longer. So this is an example of a nail that I might say, hey, I want to add maybe an inch to this. You can do that with acrylic versus trying to find a nail that's the length that you want. You might say, you know what? I want a super long pointy nail. You can do that with acrylic versus trying to cut and shape and get it into what you want. So that's the first set of nails. Your second set of nails is going to be a French. I'm going to show you guys how to do a French using acrylic. So that's using your natural powder or your pink powder along with the white tip. Then the third set is going to be our final project, which is going to be a pair of mahogany ballerina nails. So by the end of May, if you guys are coming along with me on the journey, you should have a total of 3 sets of nails. So this month we're building nails, not just decorating them. So I don't know why I can do this. So what you'll learn, acrylic chemistry, monomer and polymer. The monomer is your liquid. The polymer is the powder. When the two come together, it causes a chemical reaction, which creates acrylic. We're going to talk about bead control and consistency. There's 3 methods. You have the 1-ball method, a 2-ball method, and a 3-ball method. Now, when I first started learning nails, there was only a 3-ball method, which you literally pick up 3 balls and you apply 1 ball at a time. Then as nails started becoming more popular in the United States, what came in was a 2-ball method, which the 2-ball, 1 ball covered the cuticle area to the middle of the nail, and then the second ball covered the middle of the nail going out into the free tip. And now you have the 1-ball method. It's 1 big ball that you start at the base and you keep smoothing that thing out all the way across the nail. We're going to talk about apex, which is the structure and placement. That's actually your stress ball. If the apex is not placed correctly, that's when people have nail breakage and their nail actually breaks. We're going to talk about nail shaping techniques, whether you want to do a coffin shape, square, square oval, pointed. So we're going to go through all of that. We're going to go through understanding the different nail files and what um, the 180, the different grits mean. You have 180, 150, 100, 200. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to go over French tip application with acrylic. And then, like I said, by the end of the month, we're going to complete the French ballerina set. So, anatomy. So you guys can see. Oh, you know what? I have to click it over here for you guys. So we just went through that. So this is just a refresher, and I'm gonna bring you guys over here on YouTube in a little bit because I want you guys, not YouTube, TikTok. I want you guys to understand the nail anatomy. You have the nail plate, then you have the cuticle area, which is this area right here. This is what I went in and cleaned today when I did my manicure at home using my Melody Susie cuticle cleaner tip, and then I used a cuticle pusher and the cuticle trimmer from my Beatles kit. So this is the pusher right here, and then this was the trimmer. So I was able to go in and do my whole manicure, as you can see, at home. So I saved a good $25, $40, depending on where I would have went. That's what I would have paid. The side walls, this is your side wall right here. This is the area when you're doing acrylic, you're always going to have to go in and shape into the side wall to be sure you have a really good, hey, Miss Molly B, to be sure you have a really good shape. And then you have the free edge. The free edge is the length of the nail. So right now I don't have a free edge. All I have is nubs. But as you extend the nail out, that's called the free edge. Then you have the nail bed. So this is your nail bed, which is really up under the skin. You can't really see it. So when you end up cutting someone's nail and they're bleeding, you have went into the nail bed. And then you have the hyponychium. The hyponychium is this area that's right up under here, right in there. If you guys can see, this is the hyponychium right in here. And this is your actual nail bed up in here. Okay, so I think with that, nail tip sizing, we went over sizing. The tips must fit sidewall to sidewall when you're doing acrylic. Now you have a half tip and a full tip. You can do acrylic with a half tip. You will file that down, make it even with the regular nail, and then you will add the acrylic on top. Again, because we're practicing, we're just using a full nail. And later on, if you guys want to do it with a half tip, that's your option. But I'm not going to be practicing acrylic on a live person. We're just going to be doing it on here. You never want to force a small tip onto the nail, and you want to file larger tips to fit if needed. And you'll always file into this area, which would be the sidewall area. And you might have to come down in here into the corner to make it fit. And your tip sizes are generally a 00 to a 14. The smaller the size, the larger the nail. The larger the size, the smaller the nail. So just remember that. Okay, now the next slide is going to show the nail tips. But before we get into that, remember I said you have to get rid of the shine that's on here. So you can use a nail file. You can use a nail drill, which I'm going to use just for the sake of time because we've been working for a while. I have another drill that I'm going to use because I still have my cuticle thing in my Melody Susie drill. I'm going to go ahead and file this down just to get rid of this shine that's on here. I don't think you guys can see over there. Welcome in over on TikTok. If you guys can tap me up, like the live, we have 0 likes currently. If you can share the live. And Scuba and Jesse Ray, you know, if y'all talk to me, I definitely talk back. The same for you all over on YouTube. Welcome in, welcome in. And we'll probably only go through this one nail today. And then our next live will actually go over using the nail tip, the nail forms. But that's what this next slide is showing you. It's actually showing you the nail form, and you use that to create the length without using tips. So if I wanted to make this nail longer, I could go in with a nail form and make it longer. And since I'm actually building the nail, if I wanted this to be a super pointy nail, I can go ahead and have that completed as I'm building the nail out based on how I place the form. So form placement is very important. You also want to properly, if you were doing this on a live person, you want to properly prep the nail. So you would need to go in and do some etching, which you would pretty much be doing the same thing, taking the shine off, being sure it's a nice matte, and then you're etching in. Generally, you go downward. Oops. And you would also go across, but you don't want to cause damage to their nail bed. You're doing that just to make room for the acrylic. So what I'm doing is being sure that there's no shine on this nail at all whatsoever. And that's the first step, especially when you're doing acrylic and you're doing tips. There cannot be any shine on your tip. Now, when you're doing your gel polish, it doesn't really make a difference. It's up to that person. And most people, they're like, no, I'm going to take the shine off and fully prep it. Okay. So now this nail is completely prepped. You see it's nice. It's nice and matte. Then I'm just going to use a little bit of alcohol. If you were doing acrylic on a natural nail, you would go in with primer. You would use a primer after you do this step. Because I'm just using a regular nail, I'm actually going to go in with alcohol. And your nail tips, your nail forms, which we have here, these are used to create length without tips. And these come in the kit that I'm showing you guys right there on. Sorry, guys, that I'm showing you over on TikTok. On YouTube, it's linked for you. The acrylic nail art manicure kit. It comes with 10 grams of nude, clear, transparent powder. And one of these look like white, but it says nude clear. This looks like white. So we can actually test it to be sure. It comes with 75 milliliters of the acrylic liquid. And it comes with the carving brush set. And it does not come with any nail tips. So these are the forms that this comes with. And I'm just going to take one of these off. So I can show you guys the difference in the nail forms. Because when you're working with acrylic, if you're just applying to a tip, you don't necessarily need a nail form because your guide is the actual tip. But if you're trying to build the nail form, this is the nail form that comes in the kit. And these are the nail forms that I was used to using. So this is the one that comes in the kit right here. But these numbers right here, this is your guide to tell you the length, as well as the width. And say if you wanted to do a super pointy nail, when you put this tip on, you're going to actually bend this. And that's your guide for your acrylic. If you were doing a square nail, then you wouldn't bend it as much. If you're doing a coffin nail, you would. So you actually determine the shape based on how you put this on the person. And the same thing with these. But again, because we are just using our regular nail today, that's not necessary. Okay, and I just talked about the form shaping, straight side walls, tapered inward at the tip. Um, Hold on, I gotta move it over here for you guys. Flat free edge shape is controlled by placement. And now we're gonna go ahead and get into this part right here. Yes, sir. And I want to be sure that you guys can see over here on YouTube. So let me see. You can see the nail. Okay, you can see the monomer. You can see the nail. And I'm going to use this doesn't look clear. I'm going to use number 2. So for powder, I'm going to use number 2, which is a polymer. And I'm just going to go ahead. Oh, shit. I put it on the wrong side. I have to get me a little thing to put my powder in. But this will work for now. Yesterday, I worked with this brush. I wasn't really too fond of it. So today I'm gonna try a different brush and see if I like it. I don't think I'm gonna like any of these. I actually worked with a Kolinsky brush when I used to do nails, which they're kind of pricey. Like a really good nail brush usually is gonna run you about, well, I know back then it was like $60. I don't know what it costs now. It might be cheaper. I don't know. So anytime you use a new brush, the first thing you want to do is take the brush and dip it all the way down and hold it flat, and then bring it up across the side. Flip it over and do the same thing. And basically what you're doing is being sure that the bristles are getting nice and moist with your polymer before you even, I'm sorry, your monomer, before you even pick up your polymer. Welcome in, Soul Food Experience. What side of the world you on right now? You be traveling up something, cooking up everything. Okay, now yesterday, if you guys were not on the live, I talked about you shouldn't be up on the cuticle. I've seen people on here doing nails and they're literally putting acrylic up on a person's cuticle. You're not supposed to do that. There should be a very, hey Kimberly Law, a very thin space between the person's cuticle and the acrylic. You want to be sure that the acrylic, their cuticle layer is cleaned off. And you want to be sure that your bead is not too wet because then you can't control it. But you also want to be sure that it's not too dry. So first I'm going to go in and I'm going to pick up my powder. I'm actually going to just pick this powder up right here. I'm going to try to. And then as I look at that, I want to place it right toward, and let's just say that's their cuticle. I would place that, and then you push backwards toward the cuticle. I don't like this brush either. I can tell y'all that right now. I feel like these brushes, but for practicing, I think it's sufficient because they come in the kit. So that'll work. So I'm going to go in and pick up another ball. I'm looking to be sure that this is not too dry. And then I'm going to place this down. So that's too dry. That's why it didn't work. Okay, so let's go in and pick up another ball. And place it down. And I'm just gonna pick up a little more of my monomer, and then I'm spreading the acrylic, and I'm gonna try to show you guys. See how I'm pushing back? I don't know if you guys can see over here. I'm pushing back. Let's say that's the cuticle. So you don't want the acrylic to be directly on the cuticle. You want to apply close, but not directly on it. So it should always be a small line from the cuticle over. And I'm probably going to have to go and find me a good brush. But now this is me going in with another ball. And what you do is you're using the belly of the brush, not the tip, to press everything in. I might need to pick up the brush I was using last night because it definitely worked better than this one. Because what happens, the goal is to lay your acrylic as smooth as possible because you don't want to have to spend a whole lot of time drilling. If your acrylic is not laid smooth, then you spend a lot of time drilling. And that's not the goal. So to clean the brush, you want to just put it in your monomer, pull it through. And what we used to do is just do it straight, and then we would stick it in our little, well, I was sticking in my station area. But let's go ahead and go back with the one we were using last night. I think the one last night worked a lot better because it's a little bit bigger. So we'll try this one. And again, the practice right now is about creating beads that are large enough and sufficient because you should be able to apply on the whole nail with a total of 3 beads. And right now, I feel like these brushes don't even allow me to pick up a decent size bead, in my opinion. So we're just gonna keep going until we cover this whole nail. Now there is another kit that is a more professional level kit, and I feel like that kit's going to come with a better brush. Once we get enough practice in before we get ready to do that first set, that's the kit that we'll actually be using. But this brush right here, horrible, in my opinion. It's horrible. This is a horrible brush. Okay, you want your ball to be nice and moist. You don't want it to be too wet. You don't want it to be too dry. It should be about 1.5 of monomer, which is your liquid, to 1 ratio. So 1.5 should be your liquid, and then the 1 should be your polymer to create your acrylic. So I'm just going to keep going in here and building out the nail until it's what I want it to actually be. I need some more polish. Not polish. I'm so used to using polish. I need some more where did I put it? I needed some more powder, which I just put in there, but I feel like I'm gonna need some more monomer as well. Mirror, you okay? Okay. So I'm gonna go in and try to pick this up. That's a nice size ball. I'm gonna lay this down. And then you want to be sure that as you are patting and forming, that it looks nice and level. You can back brush if you need to, which back brushing actually will help cover any lumps that you might have or any potholes. Like you might have a dip and you want to cover the dip. Now, remember, I was saying you don't want to go all the way. Like if you were doing someone, you don't want to go, hey, May Brownies. You don't want to go directly to the cuticle, but because I'm doing this on a nail, I'm going to actually go all the way down to the end. But if this is like a human nail, I would not go all the way down to the cuticle area. And then you want to look just to see, do you need to add? So if you guys can see right there, it's a little uneven on that side. So I want to go in right there and just add a ball and start forming it to fill in that area. Now that I have this all covered, the last step I want to do is called a stress ball. And that's going to go right here. If you guys can see, about right here is where you put your stress ball, because that's where you create your apex. So what I want to do is go in, pick up a ball. You don't want it to be too dry and you don't want it to be too wet. I'm going to lay this ball right there. And this one, I want to go backwards because your apex is that slight curvature that's in the nail. So I want to go backwards first. Then I want to pull it forward. Then I want to pat with the belly of the brush just to be sure that everything is shaped. Never be scared if you feel like the ball is too wet or too dry. To just put it down. You don't have to put it on. All right, and from that, I feel satisfied with where this is at. So now I would just let that sit. So this is the nail. You can look at it from all angles. And it looks pretty good. Okay, so then when it dries, what you would do is go in and shape it. So before you forget, you want to be sure to clean your brush. Cleaning your brush is just putting it down in the monomer, pulling it out toward the side, putting it down in the monomer, pulling it down toward the side. Now I'm going to put it down in the monomer, and you're pressing to pull out to be sure that you don't have any polymer that's in here, because if you have polymer in here, you it actually will set into the acrylic, and then your brush is ruined. And once your brush is ruined, then that's it. You have to just go and buy a new brush, because there's no way to get it out. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring you guys back up over here. So again, just a recap. Your monomer and polymer is your liquid and powder that combine to create the acrylic. Your bead formation creates a bead that hardens when exposed to air. So you don't need a UV light when you're doing acrylic. It's all going to set in the air. The air is going to set it for you. So timing and control, it requires proper timing and steady brush control. If you don't time it correctly, then your for example, and I want to give you guys an example. Say for example, you're talking and and you're not paying attention, but you're picking up the beads. Your acrylic bead will end up hardening on your brush. And then as you clean your brush, you want to be sure that you shape it so it dries back in the right shape. So that's what you guys see me doing now. I'm actually taking and shaping my brush. So when it dries, it's drying back in that same shape that we started with. So acrylic do's: proper nail prep before application, correct bead control, liquid to polymer. You don't want it to be too runny, because then it's going to run everywhere and you can't control it. You don't want it to be too dry, because if it's too dry, again, you can't control it. Like these were the ones, it was too dry. So if I would have tried to put this on the nail, I would have been overworking. It's easier to just put that to the side and pull up a new bead. And you want to work in zones for structured applications. So like if I would not have worked in the zones that I worked in, it would have been a mess. So you usually start from the bottom of the nail and you work your way upward. You want to build the apex for strength. So we call that the stress ball. The apex is the last ball that you're going to put in. And you want to maintain clean brush control, focus on consistency in every bead. So acrylic don'ts: do not flood the cuticle area. That's when you're putting acrylic directly over the cuticle. Do not use overly wet beads. Do not skip nail prep. Do not build flat nails. Always create an apex. So if I didn't create this apex, then the curvature would have been gone that was originally on this nail, because it would have just looked flat. Do not rush the application, and do not overfile natural nails. Now, I told you guys I wanted to tell you about the nail files. I want to tell you all about the nail files, and I have a couple of them here. I just saw them somewhere. So there's a grit system with these nail files. All of these are the same. I had another one. Where did it go? Here it is. And the nail file grit determines what you're using when you are actually filing the nail. So an 80 grit file is going to remove bulk. That is a super coarse file, and I don't think I have an 80 grits anywhere. So I don't have an 80 grit to show you because that removes bulk and it's for acrylic only. Back when I did nails, we did not have nail drills. So we had to physically file everything. Nail drills came like toward when I was deciding to just do hair, just do nails. And a really good nail drill at that time was about $300. And I'm talking about in the 90s. If you wanted like a low end nail drill, it was going to be about $150. The 100 grit is for shaping and enhancement. So most of your nail files are going to have two sides. So this is a 100, 180. So your 100 grit is for shaping and enhancement. And then your 180 is going to be for nail prep. You can always tell which side is which because the rougher side is going to be the lower grit. The higher the grit, the smoother the finish. The lower the grit, the rougher the finish. So again, the 80 grit is going to remove bulk and products. You only use the 80 grit on acrylic. The 100 grit is for shape and enhancements. So you use your 100 grit, this right here. This is my 100 grit side. This is the side that I would use to go in and shape the side walls of the nail, to put in my coffin, to put in my stiletto, my square oval, whatever type of shape, that's what I'm going to use. The 150 grit is what you're going to go into refine the shape. So that's what you're doing to smooth the shape. I don't know if you guys ever had someone do your nails and it's like real rough around the shape. That's because they didn't go over it with 150 grit. They didn't even go over it with your buffer or anything. The 180 grit, most nail files that are most popular is a 100, 180 grit. The 100 grit is for your shaping. The 180 grit is for prepping the natural nail. Your 220 grit, which I have right here. No, I don't have a 220. Your 220 is smoothing your natural nail. I have a 200, 240. So this would still be for smoothing the natural nail, the 200. And then the 240 is going to be for finish and shine. So that's what the different grits mean. So just remember, the lower the number, the rougher, the coarser the grit is for the nail. 80 grit is only for acrylic. The larger the number, the more smoother the finish. So that's going to be for your buffing, your finish, and your shine. Hey! So acrylic ball methods. Acrylic ball methods, one ball is an advanced speed technique. Full nail coverage in a single bead requires precision and experience, but it also requires a really good nail brush. These nail brushes right here are not sufficient for one ball. To me, they're barely sufficient for three balls. Okay, this is just my personal professional opinion. The two ball method is about balance control. It's divided application for better control, ideal for intermediate skill levels. And then the three ball method is zone by zone application, best for learning proper placement. So this is kind of what I was trying to show you guys tonight, the three ball method, but we could not pick up three balls. Because when I say three balls, I mean you pick up three balls and you're able to cover the entire nail. And I struggled with this brush trying to do that. Bead placement zones. Again, zone 1 is your cuticle area, a thin application because you don't want to flood the cuticle. Your apex area is your stress area. That's where your thickest point is going to be. So that's going to be a larger ball. And then zone 3 is your free edge, and that's your tapered application. That's where you're creating the extension on the nail. The apex structure. The highest point sits in the stress area. You add strength and durability, it prevents breakage and cracking. An incorrect apex leads to weak nails. So you want to be sure that you're properly placing the apex. Brush control. A wet bead means it's too runny, it floods the cuticle, it's hard to control, it causes lifting. Too much powder creates a dry bead. It's hard to move, it won't smooth, it creates lumps, it's difficult to shape. A perfect ratio, which is 1.5 of your monomer and 1 of your powder, is a balanced bead. It's a 1.5 to 1 ratio. That creates smooth and controlled, proper ratio, easy to shape, professional results. Nail shapes. Square, straight side walls with a straight free edge, classic clean look. The coffin ballerina, still straight side walls, but taper into a flat free edge. And that's going to be our primary focus, doing coffin and ballerina nails. And then you have the almond shape, which is tapered sides meeting at a rounded peak. And that's also what you want to use if you're doing your stiletto and you're just sharpening the point. So you're not making it round, you're making it super sharp. That's your stiletto nail. So acrylic designs that we will cover: French tips with acrylic, pink and white sets, nude base sets, and our final project is going to be to complete a French ballerina set. So for our final project, the French ballerina set is going to be a clean structure with proper nail prep, defined apex in the stress area, crisp, clean smile line, professional coffin, ballerina shaping. So the goal is to complete a professional quality French ballerina set that demonstrates mastery of all techniques covered. And that's probably going to be in the last week of May, because throughout the month of May, the only thing that we're talking about and practicing is acrylic. We're even going to practice doing acrylic flowers. So that's some design work where you're actually using acrylic. So the class flow, we're going to do education, each segment, theory, technique review, new concepts. We're going to do a step-by-step demo, which we just did today. And I'm going to go in and do the filing before we end this live, if I can stop dropping the nail. And then we do practice and application. You guys are more than welcome to join me live practicing. If you have an issue, let me know. This is the product that we're using for our practice. It's very cost effective for those of you that want to learn how to work with acrylic. And then if you're on the live, if you have Q&A, we have time for questions, troubleshooting, personalized feedback. I can even bring you up on stage if you want to show your work, ask questions, find out or if you're doing something right, wrong. And then for tools, the acrylic system, monomer, polymer, like I said, I gave you guys this link for our practice when we get into really creating our sets. I also have linked the system that we'll be using. Acrylic brushes, sizes 8 through 12. These brushes, usually the brushes will have a number on them. These brushes don't have a number. Look, I'm looking, I'm like, is that a number? I can't. No, that's not a number. But these brushes I don't like, but they're okay to practice with, just to learn control. Nail tips, size 00 to 14. The tips that we will be using are the Tipex Light. And we're actually going to be extending out. So the reason we're learning the acrylic, because in our first set, we're going to take a pair of Tipex Light nails and we're going to extend the nail out using acrylic to make a longer nail. and then we'll go in and do our designs to that set. That's the very first set that we'll be doing. The second set we will be doing will be extending the nail out, but we're extending the nail out doing a French tip. And then the third set is going to be our mahogany ballerina French tip set. We're going to learn how to use nail forms, learning how to use the nail drill, which the nail drill for the course is the Melody Susie, understanding and using the fouls and buffers correctly, and then your UV LED lamp, which is used for your gels. So I want you all to keep growing, practice between classes, attend live sessions consistently, ask questions. No question is too small, and follow for more tutorials and updates. So if you're over here on TikTok, tell a friend to tell a friend. Hey, vessel of the Most High God, thank you so much. Yay! Tell a friend to tell a friend that this is where it all begins. Now, another step, we went over this last night. You do not throw this down your sink. You do not flush it in your toilet. What you do is with your paper, which should be a paper towel, you take that and put it in there to absorb all of the monomer. Twist it around. Excuse me. And I have to figure out, because the smell of this is really strong. If I don't know if I wear a mask, if you guys are going to be able to hear me. But this is how you clean this. This is the dapping dish. You clean it this way. And then you throw this away in the trash can. This powder, you do not take this powder and put it back in your tub. You do not do that. That's contamination. You then have to throw it away. I don't use powder directly from out of that either, because again, that's contamination. So what I'm going to do is just take this and see how this part right here, this is turned to acrylic. I'm probably not going to be able to get that out of there because it's actually acrylic now, but that's fine. So you guys can see. So just imagine if you end up taking a wet brush and you're constantly putting in your powder, then you're going to have to go in and keep pulling out these little hard balls, which is really acrylic that's formed. You don't want to have to do that. So this right here, you throw away. You always want to keep a garbage can close to your workstation. So now I'm going to go in. This is the nail file that actually came with the kit right here. So this is the sidewall, remember? So what you would do is really going in and filing the sidewalls. Then going in for your shape. So I want to go in across the top as well. Now I'm going to have to change out my drill tip. So with the Melody Susie, all I have to do is twist, and this comes out. And I can put this one back in because this is the one I was already using. And now that's locked into place. I can put this in here so it's not lost. Close this back up. I'm going to turn my drill on. My drill is currently on like 24. You don't want to start it too high. And I'm just going to start smoothing, going from side to side. Then I'm going to come down on this side. And what you're doing when you are using your drill, you're looking to see where is it uneven at? Where do I need to even it out at? Because the goal is to have a super smooth, I need to turn this down some, a super smooth nail. So I can see right here, I drilled too much. I drilled too much, so my acrylic is slightly off right there. So you want to be careful that you're not drilling too high. Now I can go in. Huh? I can't hear you. You want lemonade? Okay. And this is why we practice, because you learn like, okay, I started on 24. Maybe I should have started my drill on 20 or 22. So when we do our next nail, which will be on Monday, if I end up coming live to do the nail, I'll start on probably 20. I know, because I'm working right now. I'm almost done. Now I'm going to go in with my buffer block. And your buffer blocks are going to be your 200 to 240 grits, even though they may not say it, because those are generally used for smoothing. So now I have a nice smooth nail, but I can look at my nail and tell I made some errors because I over drilled. So I can see right there I over drilled. But if I look here, the formation is really there from the acrylic that we added. I can feel it. I can tell it's nice and smooth. So for a starting spot, I think we did pretty good. So that is the end of tonight's live. Thank you all for joining me. And again, in the month of May, the only thing that we will be talking about, discussing, and learning is going to be acrylic, because the goal is to make a total of 3 sets of nails. The first set is extending. Thank you, best of the Most High God. Look, we're almost at 1,000. Yay! The first set that we're going to do is extending the nails. So these last 4 nails that I have on here, we're actually going to prep these nails on Monday night, providing that I make it back from Dallas in time. We'll put on the back up, baby. my grandbaby's like, oh, look, it's me. We will put on the nail form. So Monday, we're going to learn working with the nail form, building the nail out to actually make it longer. Then on Tuesday, we'll continue with that, just building the nail out to make it longer. Then on Thursday, we'll practice doing an actual French using the nail form. And then on Friday, we'll start on our first set. And you'll make the decision if you just want to extend out a nail or if you want to actually attempt to do the French on the nail. And then we'll keep practicing that throughout the rest of the month, practicing extending the nail, practicing doing a French on the nail. And then by the end of the month, we'll have a total of 3 sets. So the first set will just be an extension of the nail. If you decide you want to do a French, then you can. That means that you'll end up having 3 French sets. The second set we do is going to be a French extension of the nail. And then the third set is the mahogany French tips or French set that we're going to do. So that's what we're going to do for the month of May. It's just acrylics. So I can go ahead and put this one on here. This was day 1 where we actually went in and applied acrylic to the nail and we buffed it and we learned, hey, with Melody Susie, don't start on 24 because 24 is too high. So when we start, we'll start on 20 for our drilling. So this is what you guys can see over here on TikTok. This is our acrylic, nice and smooth. But we did realize that we did some over drilling is what it's called. So you want to be really sure that it's better to start off low and need to go higher versus high and need to go low. And I thought 24 was going to be sufficient, but y'all, that was too high. Okay, so thank you guys for joining. I appreciate you all. And again, tell a friend to tell a friend that this is where it all begins. Love you. Bye. Mwah! So we're going to go ahead and end our stream over on YouTube.